Hey guys, welcome back to the Pandacast. I am Alan SamuraiPanda Bunney, the CEO of Panda Global, and I will be your host. Today's topic is how to build your esports brand. So today we'll be going over not just how to build your esports brand, but exactly what is a brand, what does it mean to have a brand, and why is it important. So let's start off with actually those two broad topics, which is, what is a brand? Well, when thinking about it, esports and traditional sports are very different beasts, and this is where a lot of people sort of get it wrong in their theory of how esports works and what they believe is the case. So in esports, yes, you are a competitor, you are competing, but the most successful people are not the ones who are winning per se. They do win, but they don't usually win the whole thing, or they get very close. Now, a great example of this is someone like Mango, if you watch Melee. Although I'm filming this during GOML, so that is an exception. Sorry, spoiler alert. That was a great tournament for Mango, but Mango is not necessarily someone who wins, but he has an amazing brand to the point that when Mango loses, a stream can lose between 10 to 20,000 viewers depending on how well he's doing. When Mango's streaming, he commands so much attention. Mango is more than just a player. Mango is what we call in the industry an influencer. Mango has a brand. His brand is him, but there's certain personality traits to it. There's certain, things that are, man, that's so Mango. And when you watch or think about Mango or consume any content Mango creates, this becomes really evident. So what is a brand? Well, think of it like this. You, as a player, are one entity. Now, you as a person, are one entity. So let's say ESAM, for example. Eric Liu is one entity, and ESAM is a completely different entity. ESAM and Eric Liu are different people. ESAM is his brand. His brand is ESAM. Who is ESAM? Well, he's kind of this, confident guy who's outspoken, who's, very sort of easygoing on streams and loves interacting with the crowd. Like, that is ESAM. That is a brand. That brand has certain personality traits and certain things that he does and the ways that he acts. But Eric Liu is separate. When you get to know the guy, he's sort of a separate thing. So a brand is essentially, what people want to engage with. It's more than just your gameplay. It's partially your gameplay, but it's more about personality. It's about, what makes you who you are as a player. Brand is very important, and brand is what differentiates value as well. Players who have a brand are far more valuable than players who do not have brand. Mango is, I think, without any doubt, the most valuable brand within Melee. Mango hasn't, outside of GOML, won a tournament in quite some time. His play is also fantastic, but he is not just a player. He's not just the character that you're watching on the screen. He is Mango. Okay. So why you should have a brand is exactly as I stated. Your value is astronomically larger, but more than that, as a player, you have sort of an expiration date, and in air quotes here. It depends. Your popularity waxes and wanes depending on your placements, depending on who you're playing, depending on the meta game of what you're playing, depending on the patches that you're playing. You as a player can be decimated by a patch, by some change, by the new game coming out that your character isn't good in, and then what happens? Are you going to be a full-time player still? Is whatever team that has you as just a player going to keep you on when you're not doing well? What's the long-term strategy of being a player? If you don't have an answer to that, that's because the answer typically is becoming a brand, having more than just your play to speak about who you are. To truly go full-time in the long term, you have to be someone that is worth engaging with, and you have to be someone who is worth becoming a fan of And so people will go out of their way to watch you when you stream, to look at your pictures when you put on Instagram, to retweet your tweets and comment when you put them out, to watch your YouTube. They have to like you enough to go outside of the tournament play and seek you out. And those people will stay with you in the lows and will cheer hard for you in the highs. Those are the reason why people are able to become full-time players right now. And if you are one of those people who does this for your favorite players, I hope you know that those players are insanely grateful for you, because without you, they would not exist. So that is why a brand is important, and what a brand is. Now, how do you build a brand? Well, the first thing I advocate for our players when it comes to brand building, when they're ready for that step, not all players are ready for that step because they like focusing on the gameplay for a while. When they're ready for that step, I immediately advocate separate it out in your head. If that means make a personal Twitter account, then do it. If that means if that means just only tweeting very calculated things, then do it. You and your tags, like I separated by tag, you and your tag are separate things. So that's how you should approach life as someone who's aiming to be an influencer or aiming to become a professional player or an esports athlete, whatever you want to call it, an influencer. Okay. Now, number 2 is content. Just because I said that, just because you do that, doesn't mean that you are compelling. Doesn't mean that you are necessarily someone worth watching or someone that is worthy of having fans, I guess you could say. You have to know what you do best. Is it streaming? Are you just naturally funny when you're playing a high level gameplay? Cool. Go ham on streaming. Is it YouTube videos? Are you only really funny or engaging when you can sit down and plan it out? Then do it. Sit down, plan it out, learn editing, okay? And just make some videos. Just start pumping them out. Is it, your Twitter is on fire and, you're really, really good? That's one of the hardest ones, admittedly, in my opinion. Because you can tweet, you can be super popular on Twitter, and everything you tweet out is pure fire. But then converting those people who like engaging with your 240 characters to people who then watch your stream or then engage in your other content, it's harder, because I think it's harder for you to convey your brand over those 240 characters. And people engage with things that are interesting rather than like things about you that are interesting, if that makes sense. Okay, so that's you have to identify where your brand is going to be, which social media, because that's essentially what brand building is social media usage. Which social media you're going to be targeting, or multiple, based on what you do best. Do some research then. Find examples of people that do it well and be like, oh man, what makes this person tick? Why is Anti so good at Twitter? Why is Nairo so good at streaming? Why is Justin Wong's tier list getting so much engagement? Why is it his? What makes someone's social media game so strong? Don't imitate them, or maybe do. Maybe imitate them so you learn. But learn it, read it, research it, but don't stop. And that's the big thing. A lot of people say, "Oh, okay, I'll do it. Oh, I'm gonna wait for this. Oh, I'm gonna wait for this. I don't want to stream yet. I don't have a green screen." Really? You don't have a green screen, so you're not gonna stream? I can tell you that having a green screen and not having a green screen doesn't make that much of a difference in the beginning. And this is almost like a life lesson. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. Stop waiting until you have the perfect thing. Just do it. Just do it. The next step about building a brand is doing it. Doing it regularly. Okay? It's not enough that you make a YouTube video every 3 weeks. not enough unless they're really fire. It's not enough to tweet every 4 or 5 days because you just want to tweet the perfect stuff. It's not enough for you only to stream, on days that you feel like streaming. People have to be able to go to you and become your fan and know that your brand will produce consistent content. I'm not going to follow a guy that has one good tweet every week or two. I'm not going to tune in to someone's stream when I have a busy schedule when I don't know when they're going to be on. I don't turn on tweet alerts or not tweet alerts, Twitch alerts for when someone turns on their stream. Most people don't. But if they know, oh man, it's 4:30, I finished early. Oh, dude, he's streaming right now or she's streaming right now. Let me go tune in. Then they will tune in. Regularity and reliability is very big in brand creation. It's like television, right? Now, this may be sort of getting a little too old for some people, but, if you have a show, let's say on Sunday night, that you love watching and you always tune in every week for it, don't you get really mad when the baseball game or basketball game that was airing before your show goes over long and your show isn't on anymore? Don't you get upset when you go and your show is not there when it's supposed to be there? That's the point. People will tune in weekly for that. And I know the generations are shifting. I know that people will record things on TiVo and or their DVRs, and they'll watch recordings later. People will pay increasingly on demand so they can watch it whenever they feel like watching it. But really, how many people will engage with your brand when they feel like doing it? How many people will actually go to a Twitch VOD of a live stream of someone just doing that? They don't. They really don't, because one of the biggest things about Twitch is interacting with the streamer. They might do that for Twitter here and there, but really people just scroll and see what they see on Twitter. If they see your tweet, they'll interact with it. They don't go to your profile page and go down. Instagram, I don't really know enough about Instagram personally because I don't really use it myself, but as far as I know, they won't really visit your profile that often either. So regularity and consistent content, even if it's not the best quality in the world, is important. It's important because it gives someone to look forward to. It gives someone regularity and exposure to your brand. Okay. And then there is the next step, which is, what is your brand, And that's not an easy answer. That's a tough one. I'm going to use an example of a player who is very, very, very good. Top 5, maybe more, top 3 maybe, since the game came out, in the last game even too, for Smash Brothers. That would be DeBuzz. DeBuzz is someone who I think for years struggled with figuring out what is his brand and being confident in that. And I'm going to differentiate between DeBuzz and Cosmos here, because I feel the brands are similar in some ways. DeBuzz's brand, DeBuzz didn't really know what his brand was, didn't really understand himself that well, or what made him engaging, why people liked him for a long time. And so his brand slowly started becoming, let's go Mars. Sorry, Mars versus Nairo. It's on right now in Gommel. DeBuzz's brand started off very wishy-washy. He didn't know what to do. He's very self-conscious about what to do. He doesn't want to overdo it. He didn't for a long time want to be himself too much because he didn't think he was compelling enough, which in my opinion is wrong. I think DeBuzz is a really nice guy and actually kind of cool, when you get to know him. Okay, so it has slowly become more sort of anime, weeb-oriented, more of an intellectual weeb, I guess, brand, and I'm just sort of labeling it, but it's deeper than that over time. But it took him years to get there, and because of that, DeBuzz wasn't signed by any big teams. He only joined Liquid fairly recently, and for the longest time, he was the best player with the least impactful team, which doesn't make any sense, right? He's a great player. He plays amazingly well. So why shouldn't he be bigger? Because, in my opinion, his brand just wasn't there. Whereas you look at someone like Cosmos. As soon as Cosmos went full-time esports and playing, he became much more. He knew exactly what he wanted to be. He wanted to be a hardcore, unrelenting, unapologetic weeb. So he also has a very anime-oriented brand. And he went to town on it. Everything he tweets has like an anime GIF or picture on it. Like he will do reaction pictures with anime GIFs. And I'm going between GIF and GIF. I'm trying to shift back to GIF because I know it's correct, but I've been saying GIF for my whole life. And that makes him more popular, makes him more engaging, makes people want to tune into his streams because they know who he is. They get who he is. He comes across very strongly. Confidence in your brand is very important, and knowing what your brand is very important. Being confident in who you are, or rather what your brand is, and knowing what your brand is are very, very important things. So if you're like, I'm going to be like this, this is going to be my brand, do it. Even if your brand shifts, do it hard. Be you. And this isn't just, I'm going to decide to be, this, I'm going to decide to be Mango. I'm going to decide to be this, like, so sort of cool, like, chill guy that's, a bit lackadaisical and something. Like, no, you can't just choose your brand like that. You can't just be like, I'm going to be this. Or you can in the beginning, but you will shift because it has to be natural. It has to come to you naturally. If you can't do it naturally, if there's nothing you can think of that is a natural fit to you, maybe you're not meant to be an influencer. And if you're not, that's okay too. You don't have to be an influencer. You don't have to have a brand. But you also have to realize, okay, then esports is going to be a fun thing I do. Esports isn't necessarily going to be a career. Or if esports is going to be a career, then you need to take your time to learn other things within esports. You need to learn management. You need to learn, coaching. You need to have some other sort of skill set that will make you valuable when your days as a player are over. And as long as you very slowly work on that while you're training as a player, and you're like, man, I'm really enjoying, learning about sports psychology, or I'm really enjoying, learning how to help someone build their brand, or I have great merchandise ideas, and you make some Redbubble or like some, what is that? Teespring t-shirts or something, and they sell really well, like just as a spare thing in your spare time. Figure it out. Figure out what else you can do in the grander scheme of esports. And there are a lot of people who transition from players to managers, from players to owners, from players to something else within esports when they, finish their run as someone who's a competitor. So that is the bare basics of building your brand. These are the beginning steps of building a brand. There are a lot of growing pains. When you start building your brand and you start, becoming something more, you're gonna have to learn. You're gonna have to analyze. And this is probably one of the best times to do it because you have websites that can show you your emote usages. So if you're a Twitch streamer, you can see what are my most popular emotes. There are apps that there are things that will, like analytics on Twitter, that'll show you what do people engage with, what demographics do I appeal to, what are my best tweets. So you can actually spend like an hour every month self-reflecting using these tools to say, oh, this is what people clip the most of me. I got most of my followers when this happened. Let me watch that clip or watch what happened on my stream. Oh man, I did this. I guess people like this. There are ways for you to sit down and understand yourself. And don't be afraid also to reach out to people who are bigger than you. Don't be afraid if you are a content creator and you're getting a name for yourself to reach out to the bigger examples of what you do and be like, yo, dude, how do I make a good thumbnail on YouTube? What should I be doing for my YouTube? Or just doing that research yourself as well is very important too. Reach out to your fans too. You never know what sort of connections they have. You might be like, yo, can anyone make a thumbnail for me? And there might be some guy that's like, oh yeah, I'm making thumbnails for this player and this player and this player. Like, I can totally help you. Awesome. That's really cool. So The growing pains of building a brand, though, are, you do have to find out what people like. You do have to understand, start to understand yourself, start to understand what is engaging about you, and build on those blocks. Okay? So that is going to be bigger and bigger and harder the bigger you get. And then one day it's essentially going to just not necessarily click, but become natural, where it just sort of you climb all the way up the mountain, and then you get to, the ski lift, and the ski lift slowly takes you up the rest of the way, because as you start growing, it becomes more natural to you what to do, and you start getting higher and higher and higher up there. Let me know in the comments if this helped you guys. If there's anything more you want to hear about this is really just the basics. I could absolutely make this a continuing series. If you want to hear more about building brands and about different steps within that, or if you have any other ideas that you wish for me to talk about, let me know. And also, if you want the audio only, there is a SoundCloud in the comment or in the description, which I really should start saying in the very beginning of this instead of the end, because you probably already listened to this, so why would you go back? I'm going to go finish off this set. Fingers crossed Mars can make this comeback. But if not, I'm still really proud of our team. Gone was a great showing for us. And Combo Breaker soon, and all these other great events for us soon. It's really turning up at PG. So hopefully you guys, tune in and become fans. Again, I'm SamuraiPanda. Tune out. Wait. No, that still sucks. Man, I should make a good one. I'll think about it later.